please stand for the platform procession.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this very momentous event here at Mary Immaculate College. I would like to begin by calling on the college chaplain, Father Michael Wall, to read the conferring blessing.
Shlucht as litter nave pole kigna hefishig. Sinean fo a dhemer modlúne I vínis an ahar on nan meter gach clown nav agus talav. Go dogus sé divas olvahas rora, go vaig siv nart agus cumas ein vánach trin sprid. Con go meg Christ I vo grith re chredev, go meg siv prevaha agus bunha sa grá, llí gur édig siv féin agus an neve go léir, ad agus lehed, agus irda agus dainas a hiskent. Go gerig siv olas a grá Christ a thos con tiskene, agus go lín for siv den lín varacht umlán dé. Glúr den te úd a fedad ó I vad ní smó dhéanamh ná mar a dírformisne nú smuoineh féin Tríd an gócht atá ag gobar uning. Glór go raibh ges an aglis agus I Grist Isa ó glún go brach na brethe. Amen.
I'm pleased to call on the Provost and Deputy President of the University of Limerick, Professor Nigel Healy, to formally convene a meeting of the University for the purpose of conferring academic awards.
Deputy Mayor of Limerick City and County, Councillor Tom Ruddle, Minister of State, Mr. Niall Collins, TD, President, Mary Immaculate College, members of the Mary Immaculate Governing Authority and Trustees, members of Anseo Lacadul, faculty members, distinguished guests, guests of the graduates of 2021, guests of the graduates of 2020, graduands of the class of 2021, and graduates of the class of 2020. A meeting of the University is hereby convened for the purpose of conferring academic awards. exercising the power granted to the University of Limerick by Oireachtas Éireann, I hereby confer awards of the University on the graduates of the Faculty of Arts and the Faculty of Education. Students not present are hereby conferred in absentia.
I am pleased to call on the chairperson of the Governing Authority of Mary Immaculate College, Bishop Brendan Leahy, to make an address of welcome.
Deputy Mayor of Limerick, Councillor Tom Ruddle, Minister of State Niall Collins, TD, Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science, Provost, Deputy President of the University of Limerick, Professor Nigel Healy, Trustee of Mary Immaculate College, Mr. Sean Burke, Professor Eugene Wall, President of Mary Immaculate College, academic staff, other college staff members, invited guests, families, those watching online, and most especially the graduates of 2020 and 2021. It is my very great honour as Chairman of An Tuaidh Rialaithe of Mary Immaculate College to welcome you here this evening to this conferring ceremony. Tá an-áthas ar mo chrí 100 míle fáilte chuir ribh go léir is speisialta an ócáid í seo. Go háirithe dóibh siúd go léir atá ag buint gradam inniuh, duine chomhgordas live go léir. In congratulating you, the graduating classes of 2020 and 2021, naturally I greet your families and relations. Some of them are here with us this evening. I'm sure others linked with us by web camera, virtually, and really I'm sure they are all rightly proud of you today. Again, you have reached a milestone of achievement. I also greet all others who are linked in various ways to our ceremonies, the academic staff who have generously accompanied you to this day, as well as professional services staff, those in student support services, student union representatives, those involved in the chaplaincy services and other college services who have worked with great dedication for you. And of course, I'm mindful of our debt of gratitude to the University of Limerick, the HEA, and as we've already mentioned as well, the Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science. So it is a graduation day, an important day. It's really the day the Lord has made. And certainly I'm sure none of us here are going to take it for granted, given all that we've been through for the past year and a half. It is indeed a day for us to recognise with gratitude the effort you have, and others with you, put into this achievement. You, your families, staff members, you unexpectedly had to adapt. Some of you last year, 2020, others 2020 moving into 2021, continuing, unexpectedly adapting to changing circumstances and all that went with it. So I salute you, because you also dared to care for one another in difficult circumstances. And I acknowledge with admiration the spirit of collaboration that went on throughout this time. If I might take an image from one of the titles of the works of poetry of the late Maura McEntee, this college community became something of a virtual, miraculous parish. Paróiste mír últacht fiúil. Yes, because there were discomforting challenges along the way. But you, the graduates of 2020, 2021, you showed resilience, adaptability, patience, and perhaps these surprising companions that entered into your life over the past year, 2 years, have built up character in a way that maybe wasn't expected as you started out in your studies. So let's be grateful and celebrate also that fact today. In conclusion, I want to pay tribute to Professor Eugene Wall, the college president, the senior executive and the college's COVID-19 response group for the diligence and responsibility, wisdom and care with which they navigated choppy waters indeed through this time of pandemic. We really are grateful to them. So once again, congratulations to one and all. Beir bua agus benacht.
I am pleased to call on the Minister of State at the Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science, Mr. Niall Collins TD, to make an address.
Thanks very much. Delighted to be here. On a personal basis, it's a great honour to be asked to say a few words at such an esteemed gathering. And thanks to Professor Eugene Wall for his kind invite, and to Bishop Leahy. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start by giving my wholehearted congratulations to all of the award recipients here today. It's a really, truly outstanding achievement, what you have achieved, which is culminating in tonight's event. And I think it's really fitting that the college management and the college authorities have taken the decision, rightly in my view, to hold such an event in person. We've come through such a hard period of time where we've pretty much all lived in the virtual world, conducting pretty much everything, and I'm sure all of the award recipients here can testify to the trials and the tribulations of having to complete their courses and their qualifications via the internet and online, Zoom, Teams, and all of the challenges that went with that. And we in government, and I'm not going to give any real big political broadcast, but it was a huge focus of government to try and support our educational institutions right throughout the whole pandemic, to ensure that we had a continuation and a continuum of education to allow people to get to the endpoints that we're celebrating here today. Just to say on behalf of the government that we really are so happy in terms of the effort that Mary Immaculate College and our other educational institutions, through their management and their staff, what they have put in terms of effort and delivery, and making sure that all of that happened throughout such a difficult period over the last number of years. And there were huge challenges. Obviously, there was less availability for example, accessing libraries, accessing archives, meeting with people in person, carrying out in-person, face-to-face interviews, all of the type of work that goes with research. The department that I'm privileged to serve with has the title of research in its name, very, very important. And all of the researchers which will leave here and emanate from here will play a huge role in our Irish economy and in our Irish society and in our Irish academia. Mary Immaculate is an outstanding educational institution, so well known and synonymous with Limerick, known well beyond Limerick. And when you see how education and research is approached in this institution, I think it's a landmark institution in terms of how that's approached. It has got awards for promoting and standing up for gender equality and diversification, which is hugely, hugely important for all of the right reasons, but it's important in terms of accessing funding for research, which obviously enables many of the graduates and the award recipients here today. So on my own behalf and on behalf of the government, I want to say again, very well done, and thank you so much to our college authorities for facilitating the graduation and ensuring that we have a supply of highly skilled graduates to enter into further academia, if that's people's personal choice, or into wider society and economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Collins. The Dean of the Faculty of Arts, Professor William Leahy, will present the candidates for the conferring of doctoral degrees by research and thesis in the Faculty of Arts.
President, the Academic Council of the University has been satisfied that the following candidates are worthy to be conferred with doctoral degrees by research and thesis. Therefore, I present the candidates and request you to confer the awards on them.
The doctoral candidates of the class of 2021 here at MIC will be presented with their caps by their supervisors. So the doctoral candidates will come up this side and the supervisors will come up that side. The doctoral candidates will then be presented with their parchments by the Provost and Deputy President of the University of Limerick. So we'll begin. Our first candidate receiving a doctoral award this evening is Dr. Jane Brennan Seeley. Dr. Seeley has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. Joan O'Sullivan and Dr. Tom Morton. The title of the doctoral research thesis is Teacher Talk at 3 Stages of English Language Teacher Career Development, a corpus-aided study. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. O'Sullivan. Well done. Great stuff. Thank you. Well done to everyone. Dr. Maura Campbell has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Reverend Professor Eamon Conway and Dr. Dennis Robinson. The title of the doctoral research thesis is The Role of Christian Faith in the Lives of a Cohort of Catholic Primary School Principals in the Republic of Ireland. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Reverend Professor Conway. Congratulations. Our next candidate, Dr. John Flaherty, has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Maura Cronin. The title of the doctoral research thesis is The Evolution of Irish Veterinary Practice 1700 to 1950. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with his cap by Dr. Cronin. Dr. Lauren McNamara has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. John McDonough. The title of the doctoral research thesis is A Post-Colonial and Disability Studies Analysis of a Selection of Popular Contemporary Novels About Disability. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. McDonough. Dr. Marion Mortel has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Luke McNamara. The title of the doctoral research thesis is Do You See This Woman? Luke 7:4, The Multifaceted Witness of Women in Luke's Gospel. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Reverend Professor Eamon Conway, who's head of TRS here at Mary Immaculate College. Congratulations, Marion. Dr. Philip Mortel has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Jonathan Burrows. The title of the doctoral research thesis is A Socio-Rhetorical Interpretation of Paul's Theology of Christian Suffering in 1 Corinthians. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with his cap by Dr. Burrows. Dr. Margaret Theresa Naughton has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Reverend Dr. Eamon Fitzgibbon. The title of the doctoral research thesis is Standing in the Gap, a theological reflection on the meaning, value and significance of faith in the life and ministry of healthcare chaplains. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Reverend Dr. Fitzgibbon. Well done. Tá chlórstáidéir agus taide curtha de go rathall ag an Dr. Seamus Barra ó Súlaháin faoi stúr an Dr. Brendan Ó Chrónaín. Seo an tedal atá an throchtas taide doctorach, an seancáthe agus an scríbhneoir, seancas firénach agus commodóracht san ábhar a bhalig Micheál Grahín ó Mhór a Bhéin ní hé. Brunfar an éthir ar an Dr. Brendan Ó Chrónaín a chapín ar an iarthóir doctorachta. Cogardacas. Dr. Declan O'Brien has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Maura Cronin. The title of the doctoral research thesis, and I think this is my favourite of the evening, From Hoof to Hook, an investigation of beef processor influence on Irish foreign policy and politics from 1950 to 1986. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with his cap by Dr. Cronin. Well done. Dr. Aaron Rufer has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Bernd Kreuzler. The title of the doctoral research thesis is The Stability Space of the Derived Category of Holomorphic Triples and Further Investigations. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with his cap by Dr. Kreuzler. Well done. Well done. Dr. Max Schaefer has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. Catherine Kavanagh and Professor Michael Breen. The title of the doctoral research thesis is The Creativity of Life, Husserl, Henry and Beyond. The doctoral candidate will now be conferred in absentia. Dr. Trina Waters has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Maura Cronin, Dr. Una Neve-Romail and Dr. Sarah Ann Buckley. The title of the doctoral research thesis is We Think Considerable Improvement Should Be Made. Irish Insanity and the Limerick District Lunatic Asylum 1772 to 1900. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Una Ní-Bhrámail. Pagardicus. Well done. Dr. Aideen Wild has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Michael Finneran. The title of the doctoral research thesis is Remembrance of Absence, Disrupting Perceptions of Jewish and Minority Identity in Ireland Through Theatre. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Finneran. We now have a Master of Arts degree presentation by research and thesis. The Dean of the Faculty of Arts, Professor William Leahy, will present the candidates for the conferring of the Masters of Arts degree by research and thesis.
President, the Academic Council of the University has been satisfied that the following candidate is worthy to be conferred with a Master of Arts degree by research and thesis. Therefore, I present the candidate and request you to confer the award on her.
Margaret Healy. Well done, Margaret. Congratulations on your award. Now, we are presenting a posthumous award as part of our graduation ceremony here this evening. The family of the late Ria Gallagher will now be presented with Ria's posthumous award. Ria died on the 27th of March 2021 prior to completing her Masters of Arts by research and thesis under the supervision of Dr. Basil Vasilikos of the Department of Philosophy. Ms. Tony Ryan will receive Ria's posthumous award on behalf of the family. The presentation will be made by the Provost and Deputy President of the University of Limerick, Professor Nigel Healy. The Dean of the Faculty of Education, Professor Emer Ring, will present the candidates for the conferring of the doctoral degrees by research and thesis in education.
President, the Academic Council of the University has been satisfied that the following candidates are worthy to be conferred with doctoral degrees by research and thesis. Therefore, I present the candidates and request you to confer the awards on them.
Dr. Olive Shute-Burke has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Professor Teresa O'Doherty, Dr. Angela Canny and Carmel Hinchin. The title of the doctoral research thesis is A Historical Analysis of the Senior Cycle State Examinations in the School Subject English from 1878 to 2016, a longitudinal study. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Professor O'Doherty. Well done, Dr. Burke. Dr. Louise Curtin has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Joanna Fitzgerald. The title of the doctoral research thesis is An Examination of the Special Education Teacher Allocation Model to Support Inclusion in Primary Schools in Ireland. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Joanna Fitzgerald. Well done. Dr. Dervla de Puer has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Geraldine Mooney-Simi, Dr. Dorothy Morrissey and Dr. Deirdre Nicronin. The title of the doctoral research thesis is Stories from School, a narrative inquiry exploring primary teachers' experiences of school-based teacher education. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Morrissey. Well done. Cogardicus. Dr. Bridget Flanagan has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. Aisling Levy and Dr. Mairead Horrigan. The title of the doctoral research thesis is What are teachers' perspectives of lesson study as a vehicle to support professional development in STEM education in the early years of primary school? The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Levy. Well done, Bridget. I met Bridget's baby earlier on, so she's had a very productive couple of years, a baby and a PhD. Well done. Cogardicus. Dr. Margaret Murphy has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. Patricia Kieran and Professor Aisling O'Donnell. The title of the doctoral research thesis is What is the experience of navigating a new life in Ireland for international protection applicants and refugees, and what role does education play? The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Kieran. Well done, Margaret. We now move on to doctoral candidates on the professional doctorate in educational and child psychology. And our first candidate this evening is Dr. Hannah Brown, who has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Laura Ambrose, Dr. Suzanne Egan and Dr. Mark Scully. The title of the doctoral research thesis is The Role of Smartphones in Parent-Child Interactions. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Mark Scully. Well done, Hannah. Dr. Aoife Cassidy has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Paul Mulcahy and Dr. Stella Long. The title of the doctoral research thesis is The Relationship Between Individual Achievement and Class Average Achievement on Pupils' Intrinsic Motivation. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Mulcahy. Cogardicus. Dr. Claire Donnelly has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Paul Mulcahy and Dr. Therese Brophy. The title of the doctoral research thesis is An Investigation into Affect-Related Working Memory for Adolescents with Dyslexia. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Brophy. Well done. Dr. Holly Hayes has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. John Perry and Dr. Laura Ambrose. The title of the doctoral research thesis is Who Minds the Minders? A mixed method examination of Irish primary school teachers' experiences of and perspectives on supporting pupils exposed to adversity. Great question. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Perry. Well done. Dr. Saoirse McCormick has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. John Perry and Dr. Claire Griffin. The title of the doctoral research thesis is Sleep, Problematic Smartphone Use and Mental Toughness, Exploring the Effectiveness of a School-Based Sleep Promotion Intervention. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with his cap by Dr. Perry. Dr. Lisa Moran has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Siobhan O'Sullivan and Dr. Margaret Farrelly. The title of the doctoral research thesis is The Utility of the Continuum of Support Framework in Supporting Class Teachers and Special Education Teachers in the Identification and Monitoring of Pupils' Educational Needs. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Farrelly. Well done. Dr. Eileen Ryan has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Margaret Farrelly. The title of the doctoral research thesis is How do children with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, attending special ASD classes in mainstream primary schools make sense of themselves and their educational experiences? Child, parent and teacher insights. The doctoral candidate will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Farrelly. Well done. We now have a Master of Arts in Education degree by research and thesis presentation. The Dean of the Faculty of Education, Professor Emer Ring, will present the candidate for conferring of the Master of Arts in Education degree by research and thesis.
President, the Academic Council of the University has been satisfied that the following candidate is worthy to be conferred with a Master of Arts in Education degree by research and thesis. Therefore, I present the candidate and request you to confer the award on her.
And the graduate is Rebecca Knox. Well done, Rebecca. Now, normally in a graduation ceremony, you only have graduates from 1 year, but this year is a special year. As we all know, it was special in bad ways, but it's special in good ways too. And one of the good ways was that we decided we would bring back our PhD graduates from 2020. We were unable to proceed with our annual conferring ceremonies in 2020 due to the emergence of COVID-19. So it gives the college great pleasure to recognise the achievements of our PhD class of 2020 this evening. Our graduates will now be presented with their letters of recognition by the President of Merrimackle College, Professor Eugene Wall. So we start with the Faculty of Arts Doctoral class of 2020. And our first candidate is Dr. Abdullah Al-Mahaya. He successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Anne O'Keefe and Professor Michael McCarthy. The title of the doctoral research thesis was Exploring Co-Presence in Virtual Classroom Discourse, a Corpus Pragmatic Study, and Dr. Al-Mahaya is being recognised in absentia. Our next candidate, Dr. Hélène Chardron, successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Loïc Guillon and Dara Sanfi. The title of the doctoral research thesis was L'implication idéologique de la littérature enfantine du XIXe siècle. President will now present Dr. Chardron with a letter of recognition. And she'll pose for a photograph with Dara Sanfi. Well done. Dr. J. Dillon successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Eugene O'Brien. The title of the doctoral research thesis was Breaking Through the Looking Glass, Reimagining Alice Through Visual Representation, and Dr. Dillon is also being recognised in absentia this evening. Our next person to recognise is Dr. Holly Fitzmaurice, who successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. John McDonough. The title of the doctoral research thesis was With Great Power Comes Great Responsibility. Isn't that the truth? The impact of the parent-child relationship on the development of the heroic identity within comic book and graphic novel culture. Holly will now be presented with her letter of recognition. And Dr. McDonough and Dr. Fitzmaurice will now pose for a photograph. Well done. Tá chlár stadéir agus taide curtha de go rathúil ag an Dr. Shane Grant, faoi stúr an Dr. Roisin Garvey. Seo an tedal a bhí ar an thráchtas taide doctúracht, cothú agus clachtas na philíochta. Cá stadéir éilí choimsretha, curcagúine agus iráthig. Brun for a litter a hantais Shane inis. Seasaigh an Dr. Roisin Garvey agus an Dr. Shane Grant I Gore Green Graf inis. Cogartacus. Dr. Justin McNamara successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. Anne O'Keefe and Professor Michael McCarthy. The title of the doctoral research was Take Him to the Cleaners and Make Him Do His Homework, a corpus-based analysis of lexical structures used by English language learners. Dr. McNamara is being recognised in absentia this evening. Now we have a Master of Arts degree by research and thesis. Timothy O'Connell completed a Master of Arts degree by research and thesis programme, and he will now be presented with his letter of recognition by the President of MIC, Professor Eugene Wall. And Timothy will pose for a photograph as well. Yeah. Important to have a memento of the day. We now move to our recognition of the Faculty of Education doctoral class of 2020. And we begin with Dr. Teo Paul Adenusi, who successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the supervision of Professor Jim Deegan. The title of the doctoral research was Education in West Africa as a Contested Space Between Global Politics and Local Cultures, an Exploration Through Critical Discourse Analysis. And Dr. Adenusi is being recognised in absentia. Dr. Marianne Lowney-Slattery successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Angela Canny. The title of the doctoral research thesis was Experiences of Post-Primary School Communities Transitioning to a Setting Space for Mental Health and Wellbeing Promotion, the Impact of Policy on Context, Competition and Care. Marianne will now be presented with her letter of recognition. Well done, Marianne. Dr. Canny and Dr. Lowney-Slattery will now pose for a photograph. Dr. Sarah O'Leary successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Mary Maloney. The title of the doctoral research thesis was Understanding the Experiences of Children on the Autism Spectrum and Their Parents as They Co-Navigate the Irish Early Years Education System Together. Sarah will now be presented with her letter of recognition. And Dr. Maloney and Dr. O'Leary will now pose for a photograph. Well done. Cogardacus. We now move to recognising our professional doctorate in educational and child psychology, class of 2020. Dr. Katie Curtin successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Claire Griffin. The title of the doctoral research thesis was Multi-Agency Work to Support Children in Care in Ireland, an activity theory analysis of psychologists and social workers' perceptions. Katie will now be presented with her letter of recognition. Well done. Dr. Griffin and Dr. Curtin will now pose for a photograph. Dr. Brendan Delaney successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. Claire Griffin and Dr. Maeve Dooley. The title of the doctoral research thesis was Trauma-Informed Approaches in Schools, the Efficacy of the Trauma-Sensitive Schools Training Package. Brendan will now be presented with his letter of recognition. Well done, Brendan. And Dr. Griffin and Dr. Delaney will pose for their photograph. Dr. Deirdre Egan successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. Therese Brophy and Dr. Suzanne Egan. The title of the doctoral research thesis was An Exploration of Psychological Wellbeing in Irish Forest Schools. Deirdre will now be presented with her letter of recognition. Well done. Dr. Brophy and Dr. Egan will now pose for a photo. Dr. Owen Hart successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. Therese Brophy and Dr. John Perry. The title of the doctoral research thesis was Developing Student Mental Toughness, the Potential Impact of Autonomy Support from Teachers. Owen will now be presented with his letter of recognition. Well done, Owen. And Dr. Perry and Dr. Hart will now pose for a photo. Dr. Emma Hilliard successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. Jennifer Pope and Dr. Suzanne Egan. The title of the doctoral research thesis was The Role of Physical Activity and Outdoor Play in the Socio-Emotional Development of Children in Ireland. Emma will now be presented with her letter of recognition. Well done, Emma. Dr. Pope and Dr. Hilliard will now pose for a photograph. Dr. Roisin Hogan successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the joint supervision of Dr. John Perry and Dr. Maeve Dooley. The title of the doctoral research thesis was "My Feed Does Not Define Me: The Association Between Social Networking Site Usage and Adolescent Self-Concept." Roisin will now be presented with her letter of recognition. Well done, Roisin. Dr. Perry and Dr. Hogan will now pose for a photo. Dr. Aoife Lawler successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Margaret Farrelly. The title of the doctoral research thesis was "An Evaluation of the Effectiveness of the Zones of Regulation Cognitive Behavioural Intervention on Emotional Regulation Outcomes for School-Age Children with the Autism Spectrum Disorders in Ireland." Aoife will now be presented with her letter of recognition. Dr. Farrelly and Dr. Lawler will now pose for a photograph. Dr. Elaine McCarthy successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Stella Long. The title of the doctoral research thesis was "Capturing the Voices of Parents, Needs, Experiences and Perspectives of Post-Diagnostic Parent Training in an Autism Spectrum Disorder Assessment and Intervention Service." And Dr. McCarthy is being recognised in absentia. Dr. Niamh Moore successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the supervision of Professor Eugene Wall, Professor Emer Ring and Dr. Lisa O'Sullivan. The title of the doctoral research thesis was "An Evaluation of the Effectiveness of the Attention Autism Intervention on the Joint Attention and Joint Engagement of Autistic Children in Ireland." Niamh will now be presented with her letter of recognition. Dr. O'Sullivan and Dr. Moore will now pose for a photograph. Dr. Fiona O'Brien successfully undertook a programme of study and research under the supervision of Dr. Trevor O'Brien, Dr. Paul Mulcahy and Dr. Laura Ambrose. The title of the doctoral research thesis was "An Investigation into the Impact of the Weaving Wellbeing Tools of Resilience programme on primary school children's self-efficacy and emotional regulation." And Dr. O'Brien is being recognised in absentia. We have a Master of Arts in Education award by Research and Thesis. Fiona Brennan on the Master of Arts degree Research and Thesis programme will now be presented with her letter of recognition by the President of MIC, Professor Eugene Wall. Well done, Fiona. Fiona will pose for a photo. Well done to everyone. I think we could have a general round of applause for all our wonderful graduates here tonight. What an achievement to get a PhD during a pandemic. Well done to you all. I'm in awe of your achievement. So that concludes the presentations for the class of 2020, and I would now call upon Professor Nigel Healy, Provost and Deputy President of the University of Limerick, to make his address.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to start by thanking Professor Eugene Wall and his colleagues, senior colleagues from Mary Immaculate College for a very warm welcome. I'm delighted to be here today. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of the Chair of the Governing Authority of Mary Immaculate College, Professor Brendan Bishop Brendan Leahy, and Minister Niall Collins, and all academic staff and distinguished guests. But of course, most of all, I'd like to acknowledge and congratulate today's graduates. It's been an amazing year in which to graduate, and it's my great privilege to address you on this occasion of your conferring. I guess I want to start by saying, first of all, wow. I've been absolutely amazed and humbled sitting here on the stage, listening to the achievements of the students, both the doctoral students and the master's students, the research that you've been undertaking, the quality of the research, and in particular, the application of the research to societal problems. As we went through the titles of the various theses, it was clear the quality of the research that's taking place. And I think many of us know that, in the island of Ireland, Limerick, the region of Limerick, is acknowledged as really the leading centre of excellence for the study of education more broadly. And I think we've seen that evidence tonight. It's been fabulous to see each of you coming up on stage, to see the pride and enthusiasm of your supervisors. And as I say, it's been a great privilege to have been part of this event. This is a hugely important milestone for the master's students. Warm congratulations. For your doctoral graduates, welcome to the Academy. This has been a very difficult period, we know, for you. In March 2020, the global pandemic closed in. It shut everything down around us. We had to retreat into safer spaces, and we had to restructure how we lived, how we worked, how we learned. And today we're at a point of really a new dawn when we take a new step into the post-COVID world. And it's particularly appropriate that this is the day of your graduation. No one gets to graduation without a huge amount of work. In the case of research students, I think all of the academics along this stage, will attest to the sacrifices that you need to make, whether you're doing a master's by thesis or a PhD or a structured PhD by research. To do it during the COVID pandemic with the lockdowns, when you're isolated from your supervisors, probably only seeing your supervisors on Zoom or Teams, and your peers, often isolated from the peers, it makes the achievement all the more remarkable. You're a very special generation of graduates, and we're enormously proud of you. We're coming out of the pandemic now, slowly, but we're getting there. It's an exciting time ahead, and it's an exciting time for you as you consider your next move, whether you're joining the Academy as a professional or whether you're going into work or to further study. I think the excitement today around this room is echoed in the wider region, the people and the region around us. And as we kind of gather ourselves and sort of recalibrate for the future, so too is our city. Limerick is known as a city of education. It's known for the positive contribution of our students. And I think we're returning to that very strong upward trajectory that we're on as a city and as a region. If COVID's taught us anything, it's the importance of community and being there for each other. We're all one community, and we all must continue to support each other. And we do this with the confidence of knowing that you emerge today, award in hand, filled with the ability and the critical thinking to challenge business as usual and equipped with the skills to make a positive difference in your lives and in the lives of your families and communities. Together, Mary Immaculate College and the University of Limerick have always placed educational access at the heart of our mission. It's our role to ensure that anyone who has the passion to learn should be enabled to do so. We cannot squander valuable human capital because we fail to remove basic obstacles to learning. We will continue to make education accessible to all. And as graduates today, you're part of that mission. You've put yourself at the heart of this most valuable human endeavour to empower others to help themselves. So I'd like to thank all of the staff and professional service members at Mary Immaculate College who've worked with such passion and commitment to support you in your journey. But most of all, to you, our graduates, this is your day. You should enjoy every moment This has been a long journey, and you've successfully come to the end. But it's not the end of your learning. Just cherish the knowledge and the truth that you've gained, and just keep adding. And on a personal note, I was at the event this morning talking to the undergraduates, and I realised, as I got a little bit emotional talking to the undergraduates, I realised that this was the first day since March 2020 that I've actually been in a room with students. With you tonight, I just wanted to actually add to that to say, actually today's my birthday. And I'm not going to tell anybody how old I am, because that is definitely a state secret. But I can't imagine anywhere I'd rather be than back with students celebrating graduation. So thank you very much.
I'm very pleased to call upon Professor Eugene Wall, President of Mary Immaculate College, to make his conferring address.
Deputy Mayor of Limerick, Councillor Tom Ruddle, Minister of State Niall Collins, TD, who's from the Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science, Chairperson of the Board of Trustees and Governing Authority of MIC, Bishop Brendan Leahy, and Trustee of MIC, Mr. Sean Burke, Provost, Deputy President of the University of Limerick, Professor Nigel Healy, distinguished guests, faculty and staff of the college, parents, family, friends of the class of 2020 and 2021, and all of those who are watching online, and of course, most importantly of all, the graduates of the research postgraduate classes of 2020 and 2021. Faran fair Queen Fáilte Roy Villig with the Sharmanas Brunta and Leon U. Is mór agam bhur golúdar an lá speisialta seo darg with Mark Lane. Tres liam a neachtíle gach ila céimi am runtar párahu aniu. A cumaile sin tá cogardigus ó crí le Janu Lennon Winter siúd agus le gachtaine a haci lenar géimethe agus iad ar bhóthar a léin an seo I gláiste Uirgan Small. As President of Mary Immaculate College, it gives me great pleasure, as each of the speakers have already said, to welcome each and every one of you here this evening. Today, the college celebrates the conferring of degrees on more than 40 PhD, Masters, postgraduate research students from the Faculty of Arts and the Faculty of Education, all of whom have completed their postgraduate studies by research and thesis. This unique event acknowledges and salutes the achievements of the 27 graduates of the class of 2021 who were conferred with their research degrees, and also as part of the ceremony we celebrated the graduation of 19 members of the class of 2020 who, as we've already said, unfortunately were unable to be conferred in person last year due to the public health constraints. As you'll have already gathered from previous speakers, this is an occasion of great jubilation for Mary Immaculate College, for the graduates and for their families. And we're especially pleased that, unlike the other ceremonies, such as the significance and the particular significance of this ceremony, that it has actually been possible to have guests apart from the graduates at this conferring. It's also an important occasion for Limerick City and the Limerick region, demonstrating and celebrating the highest levels of academic attainment of our students. This is a proud moment for the college, for the Research and Graduate School at MIC, for the academic supervisors, the postgraduate programme leaders, academic departments, and for the faculties of Education and Arts. Clearly, it's essential not just for this institution, but for the development of the high-value economy targeted by national policy, that we continue to develop our postgraduate provision. Demand is high, and our challenge is to respond by maintaining the highest quality of academic provision, professional development, and ancillary services for our students by providing the requisite structures and supports to our academic staff and postgraduate service providers. We'll continue to work in close collaboration with other third-level providers, particularly our partners in the Limerick-Shannon region, with whom we will seek to maximise our collective resources. On this note, I'm particularly pleased to welcome Dr. Anne Ledwith of the University of Limerick and Dr. Patrick Murray of the newly established Technological University of the Shannon Midlands Midwest to our ceremony here today. Research, which is integral to teaching and learning and essential to knowledge growth, is a fundamental cornerstone of higher education and accordingly will undoubtedly be central to the Government's National Strategy for Research and Innovation 2021 to 2027. Research underpins the educational process, benefiting students and academic staff by enhancing and enriching the teaching and learning experience. Research makes a difference, sharpening the critical intellect to assess and evaluate information, to weigh and to measure, to calculate and to review, and to learn from the experience of the past how best we can proceed into the future. Particularly in the context of the knowledge economy and the universal pervasive influence of the World Wide Web, these are skills of the here and now, and these skills are most accurately required among the graduates of the 21st century. These are the skills we seek to imbue among students of the college, and these are the skills we aspire to see in our graduates. As well as our pride in the outstanding academic achievements of the graduates coming before us today, we're confident in their research skills and in their keen capacity for discernment and good judgment as the academic leaders of the future. Now and in the future, Mary Immaculate College is committed to supporting and resourcing the ongoing development of the research skills base amongst our staff and students. In recent years, the college has invested heavily in building its research capacity through financial supports and staff development, external collaboration and dedicated administrative structures. This, as you can see today, has yielded rich dividends and it's also yielded dividends with staff engagement in research at an all-time high. And this is evidenced by an almost exponential increase in staff publications and engagement in professional conferences in recent years. This effort will be maintained and developed further, and the cross-fertilisation of research with teaching and learning will be a particular focus for us in the coming years, along with an increased emphasis on research that contributes significantly to public policy. In this and in other ways, Mary Immaculate College will continue to contribute to the Irish economy as well as to the quality of social and cultural life at local, regional, national and international levels. At this point, I'd like to express my thanks to Minister Collins and his department for their crucial support of higher and further education over the last year and a half. It's no exaggeration to say that higher education and further education would have been in a serious quandary were it not for this significant financial investment that the government put in to those areas in the last year. This college alone has received in excess of 3 million in COVID support grants and student support grants, as well as significant extra funding for student mental health provision. The government has clearly signalled its commitment to bring forward proposals to address what's recognised as a long-standing underfunding of higher education. This is to be greatly welcomed, and like others, I keenly await the proposals that are due to issue next month. I'd like to speak directly to our graduating students now. I want you to know that conferring ceremonies are occasions of spirited celebration for all at MIC. They're traditionally the most vibrant and jubilant events in our college year. This is why so many of our staff have worked tirelessly to ensure that this event takes place, even in what is acknowledged to be a scaled-back format. Notwithstanding the backdrop of public health restrictions, we were resolute in our determination to honour your exceptional achievement in the most fitting manner possible. We appreciate that this event tonight is a veritable landmark in your lives. These occasions are to be savoured in the here and now and cherished in memory as defining emotional events during life's journey. Know that we watched with collective pride as each of you ascended the steps of the conferring stage today, a short time ago, to be presented with your academic awards and scrolls. Those precious and intense moments on stage, they were your crowning reward for your achievement and your endeavour. And we're so pleased that you're here for this most special occasion in your lives. I know that we have a very vibrant postgraduate community here at Mary Immaculate College. Many of you have supported each other during your postgraduate journey, and I'm delighted that we could hold this ceremony in person here today to offer each of you an opportunity to reconnect with each other and to bask in a celebratory atmosphere on your graduation day. Doubtless there were many who assisted you along the way to today's graduation because, as has been said by other speakers, behind every graduate there are always other people to be found, dedicated mothers, fathers, grandparents, spouses or partners, children, relatives or friends, who have been also part of that journey that culminates in this ceremony. On behalf of Mary Immaculate College and its graduates, let me express our gratitude to you for your support, your strength and your trust in the years that have led to this day, and for the immense difference that those qualities have made to those who have graduated. I know you are also intensely proud today, and I say thank you. I invite our graduates to join me in an expression of gratitude to these wonderful people. I now wish on your behalf to thank the Mary Immaculate College staff members from the academic faculties and the professional service departments who have worked with you over these past years to help you arrive at this happy day. I'd especially like to pay tribute to your research supervisors for their dedication and expertise as they guided you through your academic journey. The disruptive circumstances under which you and they operated due to the pandemic crisis have made your and their accomplishments all the more laudable. Please join me in acknowledging their expertise and their commitment. I want to thank the University of Limerick, which has ratified your degrees and deemed your standard of achievement suitable for the admission to the ranks of its graduates. I especially want to thank the President of the University, Professor Kirsten May, who can't be here today, and congratulate her on her recent appointment. I want to thank the Provost and Deputy President, Professor Nigel Healy, for his presence with us tonight and earlier on this afternoon. And on behalf of the College, I express our appreciation to all of the university staff who have assisted our graduates in their passage through the college. For their contribution to today's ceremony, I want to thank also the mace bearer for the University of the University of Limerick, John O'Neill, and Mary Dermody, our sign interpreter. And now, as this ceremony draws to a close, let me, on behalf of your alma mater, let me wish you all the best for your lives and careers today and in the future. Gudagadia gat rach agus banachtív bhór trosil. Tá súlagam go mé lá jasagah gur míle mai go léir.
Doctoral. So, as Eugene said, just before we stand for the national anthem, I'd just like to say a few quick thank yous, because the work that went into this graduation ceremony is absolutely phenomenal, and there are a number of offices, and I'd just like to acknowledge their work, particularly the President's Office, the Faculty Offices, Building and Estates, ICT, Strategic Communications and Marketing, Student Academic Administration, the Research and Graduate School, and the Mary Immaculate College Students' Union. These are people who've worked long hours and went above and beyond the call to get you all here today. So maybe a big round of applause for them. So finally, I would like to wish you all well. I hope all our effort was worth it for you. I hope you had the moment and you feel you've now fully graduated as doctoral candidates. It's wonderful what you've achieved, and cogordicus and well done. We'll now stand for the national anthem, and then the podium party will process out.